H-A-T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis. On today's episode, we are coming to you from the land of the midnight sun.
That's exactly right. That's not the actual sun on the window, but it's the glare of the light. But as you can see, there's plenty of light still outside, and it is 11:30 p.m. And they still got a little bit of light out there, and probably will for a little while.
So we're going to be talking to you a little bit about our Alaskan adventure and sharing some positives of being outdoors, and we will have that conversation right after these important messages. This episode of the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast is brought to you by Faulkner University's Leaders Connect Retreat 2023 on campus in Montgomery, Alabama on June 12th through the 15th. This year's focus is on helping your congregation thrive in a post-pandemic world. Your elders, deacons, preachers, and their wives, future leaders, and Bible class teachers are invited to be encouraged and encourage those who will lead our congregations in the future. You can get more information and register at www.faulkner.edu/leaders-connect-2023 or click on the link in the description of this episode. That's www.faulkner.edu/leaders-connect-2023. I'm Travis Creasy. That's All Pro Counselor Ben Hayes.
But we are just hanging out in Alaska this week. I'm not doing any counseling, just hanging out in Alaska.
Oh, you're doing counseling. You're with me. But we are in Alaska, Anchorage Church of Christ, having our Helping Healing Humor workshop coming up on the weekend. This is Wednesday night.
That's right. Worshipped with them tonight, and it was awesome. Great little church here in Anchorage.
And we spent our days kind of trekking around, hitting all the places here close by. And we're going to talk a little bit about maybe the best thing that we witnessed today, maybe the weirdest thing that we witnessed today, and maybe a takeaway there too. And talk a little bit about the benefit of being outside on your mental health. And so, as I mentioned, we got up this morning. We went in Kaladi Brothers Coffee, which we've been told by quite literally everyone we've come in contact with that that's where you got to get your coffee. That was excellent.
It was
coffee
great.
Was good.
Yep.
Met the expectations.
Mm-hmm. It was great. It was like downtown
like
Anchorage, so we kind of got to see the downtown area. Then it really doesn't take you to get it's not very far out of downtown, and you're into some really beautiful stuff. In fact, you just turn a corner in Anchorage and you see something beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
There's a mountain peak somewhere as the mountains surround Anchorage. So the Lord surrounds his people. They're everywhere. It's incredible.
So we headed to Elk River.
Mm-hmm. Went to North Fork River Access, I think was that first little piece. It was just a little small trail, but we thought
small trail,
get any better than this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we got into the nature reserve or whatever that was there, and that was incredible.
And then we, as mentioned, we went to Moose's Tooth Pizza, and man, I don't throw this around lightly because I've eaten a lot of pizza. I've worked in youth ministry.
Yeah.
Possibly, I want to say, and I don't know if it's recency bias or what, but I want to say the best pizza I've ever eaten.
It was incredible.
We had the All-American, which is basically like the All-American burger that you get in places. So it's got all the All-American stuff on it.
That's the only one I didn't try. We had the Santa's Little Helper, which had all kinds of meat and vegetables on it. And then we also had the Call of the Wild. So we had we kind of cut it in half. And the Call of the Wild had some reindeer sausage, some bacon, some other stuff. I think Santa's Little Helper had some steak on it.
I think Whitney had the Aloha too, which you could guess.
Ham.
It's probably on there.
Pineapple.
Canadian for all you people. Pineapple. So I'm definitely pineapple goes on pizza guy.
Me too. So it was awesome.
Went to Anchorage Church of Christ. Got to hang out with their youth group Bible class on 1 Corinthians 15.
15, yeah.
15. Talked a little Paul, Sadducees, Pharisees, and then because it's still sun shining, we went up to Flat Top. And man, the beauty just keeps going. And of course, we'll be posting pictures and stuff. But go up there, as it's called.
It's flat on top. Yeah.
Windy, wind blowing everywhere, but it was amazing. Crisp, cool, wake you up.
Yeah,
That's
it
probably
woke
why
you
we're
up.
still able to do this podcast at this point because my legs are tired. So
We put in about almost 5 miles. Well, if you count that one, we
Oh,
probably
yeah.
put in 5
Absolutely,
miles of
5
walking
miles.
a day, so it was pretty great.
So Ben, when I coached at Douglas, we had a statement. It said, "Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Till your good is better, and your better is
Better is
best." So, best thing from today. What's the best thing?
I'm not even sure you can even come up with one best. I mean, the best thing from today was, to me, I could have sat on that river, on the Eagle River. I could have sat on it, and there was a couple of little observation decks with benches. There was the rocks around the edge of the water. We sat down a couple of times in both of those places, and I think I could have just sat there all day. It was the sound of the river running. Some parts of it we call a creek back home, but it was it was not extremely wide, but I mean it was a good sized river. But just the sounds, the nature, the snow-capped peaks. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Those spots were probably what I would say was my favorite part of the day.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go day one. I just like seeing Whitney's reaction
Yeah,
to the things that she was fired up, and so
Yeah.
that fires me up, and so that's probably my best part. And of course, there'll be pictures galore. Just posted
Yeah.
some. I'm gonna go back and edit some of the more landscape-ish pictures and kind of bring out all the beauty that's there.
I think that same thing can be said. It's been really cool watching Jackson get excited about it because he's not typically one that takes a lot of pictures and gets into that kind of thing. And he's usually in his phone for other reasons, but he was snapping tons of pictures today. So,
all right. So the weirdest thing, unless you got one right off the top of your head, weirdest thing for me was the fact that we walked around. I think we saw a crow in the actual walking around part. But the 2 times that we saw moose, we were not on any of the trails.
No.
We were standing in the parking lot.
we saw
And the other one, we were driving down the road down from Flat Top.
Yeah.
But
plenty of scat from mooses everywhere. From moose, there's no es in mooses, is there? But they do moose's tooth pizza because it's pot. That's right. So mooses, yeah, that's good. I'm sure.
Yes.
So yeah, the whole there was the mess everywhere, but not the actual moose. But we did see them a few times. I think moose, that might just be my weirdest thing. Moose are just weird.
Yeah.
They're huge.
They're weird.
They're clumsy. They'll run you over. They'll ruin a car. There's a lot of weirdness about moose. I mean, at home, we were talking about that a while ago. At home, you see these little graceful deer just cross the road or just kind of glide through the woods. And the moose do that too, but they're like, twice the size of a horse. Moose are weird. That's just it.
Very accurate point. Takeaway, I kept going back. It's really a song I associate with you that you sing a lot. And you even mentioned it kind of in the intro as the mountains surround Jerusalem. But I have a huge respect for Moses. And we got mountains. We've got mountains in Tennessee. But, I mean, there's just something to it here. You see, I don't know. It just is like
imagine going up
much respect.
On that little
and
observation that we were on.
I'd be shattering some rocks too if I barely got down the mountain or didn't get down the mountain and they'd already broken like half of them.
Shatter the 10 Commandments because of it. So, yeah, I mean, like, I can't imagine being up on that hill trying to write, where we were at today. It's not always that windy, but it was pretty crazy. So my takeaway, I think I guess I'd say that every place I've been has its own draw and beauty to it. Like, I guess one of the running questions today has been, how can people live in Alaska? Like, just the weather that's up here, how cold it gets, how much snow there is, all of those things. It's amazing to me that they're just, 100 years ago or 200 years ago or 500 years ago, there were people living in these places. And like now you have heaters and, you have things to keep people alive a little easier. But the fact that there was ever large communities, it wasn't like it is today, but in these areas 500 years ago or whatever, I don't know.
The will to survive.
Yeah, we haven't seen the history, so I may be off on some of my numbers, but I think people have been here all along. They've been here a long time. And so just hearing, like Whitney was, which the lady that we're staying with, Celia, was telling us about, people walk from Alaska over into Russia, and it's just a couple of miles across the ocean. But when the ocean is frozen, they can walk across it. And you just think about some of the things people do, and just the beauty that's here. And everywhere I've gone, there's a draw, whether it's here or, we love our Tennessee Valley area, and there's beautiful rivers and, trails. But, this place has just an amazing grandeur about it. So
it's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Well, Ben, as we like to do here on the old podcast, we like to help out people with their mental health. And so, kind of as a wrap up for day one, why don't you share with us one positive of getting outside? And let me tell you, the more we become technologically advanced, the more we're on our phones. I was kind of aware of that today. Like, hey, I don't want to be on my phone all the time. I do want to get some of these pictures. I do want to commemorize that everything that's going on. I'm telling you, I want to do it, but I also want to take time to enjoy being in the moment. So, what's a positive, a benefit to being outside?
I didn't notice that I was stressed today. Did you notice that you were stressed today?
I was not stressed today.
Probably multiple parts to that. One was we walked 5 miles, so that helps the body. The exercise helps the body. But just it's just being out there, the river, the snow caps, there's a lot of mindfulness in it, because you're seeing, you're hearing, you're feeling. It's amazing. So I think the biggest benefit that I would say, or today's this benefit, is there's just a natural stress relief to it. Your body responds well to just getting out and getting away from the stressors of life. I know we had our cell phones on us. I answered a few calls and sent a couple of texts, but it was more because I was like, oh man, look at this. Look how great this is. So I think just that, being able to leave some of the cares behind, that's what's awesome about nature.
We were very alert, though, in case of bears and moose.
You might have been a little stressed today.
Maybe. I wasn't, though. It was a lot of fun. And so that's day one of our Alaska adventure.
The Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis is brought to you by Freedom 5K on July the 8th. We will be running it in the Shoals area, and all proceeds go to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I hate to see children suffer. I used to avoid St. Jude commercials because I just couldn't bear to see the images of kids fighting for their life against a dreaded disease. Then one day we got the call. Several weeks before, doctors in Huntsville had performed surgery on my son to remove a small tumor on his face. The call was from St. Jude. The doctors in Memphis wanted to take more margin around the tumor and run more tests. Within days, we were walking the halls and pulling Cypress in the famous Little Red Wagons. I had to see the kids, a lot of them, some in wheelchairs, many missing hair as a result of their treatments. People from all over the world and all different backgrounds. All came for one reason, hope. Hope that they would be able to find a cure. It's that hope that gets me to run even when I don't feel like it. I run not for me, but for the young ones. I run to give them hope. Thankfully, my son is doing well. He bears the mark of St. Jude on his left cheek in the form of a scar, but it's a reminder to me of the fight that other kids are still fighting every day. The Freedom 5K on July 8th is just one more way to raise money for St. Jude. If you can run, then we hope that you will sign up. If you would like to sponsor, you can do that too. For more information or to register, go to benandtravis.com/store. That's benandtravis.com/store.
Day 2 of our adventures in the land of the midnight sun, Ben. And boy, howdy, was she a doozy.
Today was quite the adventure.
Quite the adventure. We are counting down to, I guess that's tomorrow or Friday.
It is.
Our Helping Healing Humor workshop, mental health workshop, Anchorage Church of Christ. We will begin that. And today, we pretty much determined what we're going to do tomorrow, because today,
Just nothing.
yes, today we saw some beautiful things, but we
Wow.
paid a heavy price for them. And as you said in the video of our sightseeing, we paid
every bit
for
it.
every bit of it.
It was not, it was one of those where we had already walked, actually. We had walked almost a mile down this really beautiful blue stream that I'm trying to remember what it is now. Eklutka.
Eklutna, I
Yeah,
think is how
something
it
like
goes.
that. Anyway, tail race, waterway where it's like fishery and all this kind of stuff. So it's just this gorgeous blue water, and then on the other side is this like marshland with the mountains behind it. So we walked maybe a mile there, and then we went over to Reflection Lake. So if you're ever in Anchorage, go up to Reflection Lake. Beautiful little circle trail. There was a gentleman there that I know at least walked 3 miles because he circled it 3 times. It's about a mile circle, and may have done more after we left, but he lapped us a few times as we were walking around taking pictures. Beautiful reflection off the lake of the mountains. And then came the Death March.
Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. That's it.
Twin Peaks. Maybe you got people up here who are trying to do us a solid and recommend things that you got to do before you leave. And this was on there.
Mm-hmm.
And
we've been looking at it all week. Like, this view of the lake is just phenomenal.
And it was.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. And it was described as breathtaking.
In more than one way.
And it was in more than one way.
Mhm.
The view was breathtaking. The trek was breathtaking. We have to start taking into consideration the age of people who said this is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so we trekked it up there. It was 2.6. Supposed
what
to be
it said.
2.6 to the highest peak.
Well, that's what we interpreted.
That's
at
how we
least.
interpreted it.
So we get to a bench that's about a mile and 0.8 maybe, and it's this beautiful lookout, and you can see everything. And we got close to just being like, we won it, and going
back.
down, and that was
Should have done it.
1.8 doesn't sound like a lot, y'all, but when you're climbing a mountain,
Yes.
it's almost all uphill.
Yes.
It's not flat, slow incline. It is, really steady ride.
I'm sweating.
Oh yeah,
Sweating bullets.
And
Sweating
it's,
bullets.
a little over 40 degrees.
Yes. I'm taking off layers, take off my thermals that I had on. I would say that's one thing about being up here is like it, and I know you're sitting there. We've sat there. We said it. In the South, it's the same way. But it's really different. I don't know. It's like 1 minute it's 49, but it's a different 49. It's raining, windy. It all changes. I don't know.
And as you go up, above the tree line, and we were almost there. I mean,
Yes.
we had a few little shrubberies around us, but there wasn't many trees.
Mhm.
And so we'd gotten up pretty high because we kept on going after the little bench.
Kept
And
on going.
anyway, so we come back down and saw a bear on the way back down, not in the trail, but across from us. And we get down and we finally text some people who recommended it and said, thanks for almost killing us. Addie Williams. And we get, she's like, oh, we don't ever walk past the bench. And then everybody else we talked to said the same thing.
Y'all are crazy. What
Y'all
are
are
you doing?
crazy.
I was like, well, we didn't know we were crazy.
Yeah, well, we did,
Yeah.
but not that kind of crazy.
My
We didn't know they were
stubbornness,
that
right? You know me, finish. You got to finish. You got to finish.
crazy.
And
I tapped out, and then they tapped out a few minutes
yes,
later. So
we
I was
come
like,
around.
I
We
can't
we
do it.
met these girls who were not sweating
No,
and did not look like it was
just like
all that
hippie hopping
danger.
down
Yeah,
the trail.
the
like,
little puppy dog. And I'm thinking, if they can do it, I can do this, right? And
no,
I had come to the conclusion, and for the first half mile down, I was huffing and puffing mad. I was mad because I thought that's what we're supposed to do. We got all the way up here and I turned right around. So it did make me feel a little better when we got back, and
Everybody
we were
laughed at us
texting, and
for-
everybody was like, "Why'd you go that far? Or you should never go that far." And I'm like, "Well, there's nothing that tells me that's far. Arduous, and what was the other word?
dangerous and arduous is what we
past the bench, because like the other reviews, or even Addie had told us that it was moderate to
difficult.
and we
That's
were
what the
thinking
sign said.
we were thinking
It's
what?
moderate to the bench.
Yes,
It's difficult
Yes,
after it.
after
Apparently,
that.
we didn't realize that was the halfway point that says, "Oh yeah, well, what we talked about moderate." I wouldn't even call the first half moderate.
no, not for me,
but
no.
it wasn't. It wasn't, I guess, as difficult as some of the other. But because we'd already been walking for 2 miles,
So yeah,
it was rough.
Yeah, we ran out of water. That made
That's
it
a bad
harder.
thing.
But yeah,
It was tough.
we had to stop by Walmart, some Epsom salt. I'm not here to tell you that didn't happen.
Took some meds,
and took some muscle relaxers, ibuprofen, and we'll check back with you guys tomorrow on that.
because it
But,
could be bad.
now the ironic thing is our next point about being in nature.
Yeah.
But what's the weirdest? We talked about maybe verge of the worst / best.
The weirdest thing today. That's a good one.
I kind of like you kind of scaring yourself with your own
that was-
jacket.
I kind of thought about that as we were talking about weirdest. I'm coming down the trail. I had hung my hoodie up because I was just sweating like crazy, and so I just hung it up on a tree and thought I'm coming back through, so I'll pick it up on my way. And when I rounded the corner, there's this dark figure in the middle of the roadway, and I'm sure the girls that passed us going down had to have stopped for a second because the outline, the shape of it looked like a bear. And I got down there to it and picked it up. I mean, I realized what it was after I kind of hesitated for a minute, but yeah, that's probably in there as the weirdest thing. I'll probably think of something else later.
The thing I connected with was the fact that I finally got Whitney to laugh at me and some of my jokes.
She
But
got
we
a
had-
little delirious.
But we
toward
had
the
to
end.
climb, a mountain to do it and get her delirious. But she had the giggle box going on the way back down.
She got so tired that happened. But yeah.
So Ben, tell us our
good.
next positive thing about being outside.
Well, what we were going to talk about was that you get some increased mood and happiness from being outside.
I was not
I can
happy.
tell you, Travis was struggling with that one, especially because Travis has the, of anybody I know, he cannot quit. And I don't know anybody else that has that strong of an urge.
It really is a problem.
But probably has benefited you in the last several years. Just that resiliency. Well, I mean, I've pushed myself farther than I needed to today, and I was like, I finally just told him, I said, I gotta turn around and go back. I said, I just can't. I know that I'm gonna be miserable tomorrow if I don't. I'm gonna be miserable anyway.
There's
I
this whole
knew-
thing we're up here for to
Yeah,
speak.
I mean, and I said, I've got
teach.
got to go back, or at least stop. We finally looked, and it's just still this steep hill up to the top.
I'm pretty sure I would have to crawl on all fours
Yeah.
to get to the very top.
So we're like, we're going to turn around. Well, Travis just doesn't want to, because he is always, going to finish whatever he starts. And even he just said, I'm going back. But it helped him a little bit. Mood improved when
Yes.
we later found out that we weren't really supposed to go all the way
Yes.
to the top. That
Yes.
people don't usually do that unless they are experienced climbers, which we are not, or hikers. And so,
Very much rookies.
but when you go outdoors and when you spend time, I can say most of the places that we saw and have been seeing are incredible. I
Oh.
mean, like the blue of the water, the snow-capped mountains, the two of those things together. I mean,
I only said on day one that I respected Moses, but dude, I really respect.
like you
Moses.
really start doing that. And so, the sunlight, that's actually an issue here in Alaska, because they have some deficiencies. A lot of people do, because of the lack of sunlight for much of the year. It's a lot of late, or very, very little daylight. Like right now, there's a lot of daylight.
It's
So
10 p.m.
you see them out, everywhere on bicycles.
soaking it up.
Till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, because it looks like this. It's still probably not enough to help them the direct sunlight, but it at least that it starts increasing the mood. The vitamin D, the serotonin from just being out and being out in it. So a lot of the mood regulating things within your body respond well to being outdoors. So probably don't go do what we did.
No, no.
That's not a good idea.
No.
But get outside, do some stuff. It's pretty back at home where most of you guys are listening from. It's pretty up here in Alaska now. They can get out. So if you're listening from Alaska, then do so. But spend a little time outdoors. It helps a whole lot.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.